Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my top 10 books of 2019. Now, one of them, because I'm pre-filming this at the start of December, purely because I want to get all my videos done in time for my children's Christmas. But because of that, I don't have one of my top 10 books. I'm expecting to get it as a Christmas present from the lovely Charlie Brooke. So when you get this, I would have it and I will probably put a picture of it on the screen. But this is the top 10 books, but it's kind of 11 because 2 are kind of right next to each other because they're by the same author. So I've kind of cheated a little bit. But you guys know me, I do cheat. I'm naughty. I can't stick to 10 books. So anyway, let's get down to it. Can't talk about them too long because it's top 10 and, you know, there's loads to talk about. Anyway, I'm going to start off with the most recent book that I've got that's just made it into the top 10, and that's The Handmaid's Tale. Read this in November with the lovely Linda from Linda's World of Books, and I loved this. November was really hard because it was between that and one other book that nearly made it into this top 10. But this to me is because it's such a legendary book, it's a classic, it's a book that's been talked about, and to me there's dystopic parts of it. It was written in 1984 and it's about a dystopic world where the world that they thought that could have happened, where radiation poisoning has affected fertility in a certain area, and women have got their certain roles in this. You're either handmaids, your aunts, your wives. There's sort of, I can't remember, there's loads of different areas where you could be. You don't want to be sort of sent out into the territories. That's the one place you don't want to be because that's where all the radiation is. And this basically is Offred, and she has only got one function to breed. And this is predominantly her story, but you obviously hear about her other stories. You interlink back into her past before this radiation stuff happened, when she had a family, and it's really heartbreaking. Some of the infertility side of it is really raw because of it's happening quite a lot in the Western Territories. You know, so many people in these areas are having problem with fertility as it currently now. Women are given more roles. Women are trying to fight for certain roles, and it's still quite interesting. So that to me is why this made it into the top 10, and I'm going to be reading the Testaments in 2020. The next one is The Silhouette. This book was given to me by its author, William Ray Middleton. He gave it to me and Charlie to share, and I've loved it. It got sent to me and it's really good. To me, the reason why it made it into the top 10 is purely because it tackled a lot of my own personal issues. This girl has you start off with like Jack Grant meets Anastasia, a girl who lives a nightmare while he's planning to marry the girl of his dreams. Now, to me, the reason why I think this has really hit home is that this girl, Anastasia, lives behind a veil. She's got a lot of scars that she hides from Jack, that she hides from the world, and she's hidden away because of these scars. And it made me really think about how we all hide from our scars, how we all don't want people to see the real us because we keep ourselves behind a veil. Do we keep ourselves behind that veil physically, for our physical scars, our mental scars, our emotional scars? And the way Jack tries to reach through to Anastasia is really good. There's another character in Buford who is like a supporting character, but his character alone is amazing. And I love the way he is with Jack. And to me, this is just a really good book. I really, really enjoyed it. Now, Jack's missus, the fiancée-to-be, I didn't like her. Can't remember her name because she just did my head in. But this is such a good book. Like I said, it really tackles some really good issues, and I really, really enjoyed that. So that's why I had to make it into the top 10. And the author's a lovely guy as well, so check him out. The next one is the first of 3 books I buddy read with Clint that are going to make it into both our top 10s. I don't know whether his top 10 would have come out before me, but there you go. This is Turtles All the Way Down. I read this with Clint, I read it with Melanie. It was absolutely incredible. It's about 16-year-old Asa who tries to be a good daughter, a good friend and a good student. She's also trying to track down the billionaire Russell Pickett who's vanished without a trace. Oh, and it's alongside their best friend Daisy, they're trying to get a reward. This has a lot of trigger warnings. It's a YA book. It's the best John Green book I've read yet, and I loved it. I love the fact that, like I said, it does tackle sort of emotional problems. It tackles anxiety, it tackles OCD, it tackles depression, it tackles self-harm, tackles a lot of issues, but it does it in such a way that's brilliant. It was one, like I said, it's my best John Green book yet, and I loved it. Though it's not the best out of the top 3 that I read with Clint. That will come to that soon. I'm not reading this in order of what I wrote in my book. I don't always do things in order. Now, the next one is The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson. Again, this author is absolutely an amazing lady. I read The House with Chicken Legs, I think it was last year, so that's why it's not kind of counting in the top 10. And this is her second book. I literally had it pre-ordered. It's that good. Read it virtually as soon as I got it. It's so good. This is about Yanka, who's abandoned in a bear cave as a baby and wonders where she's from. She tries to ignore the strange whispers and looks from the village, wishing she was as strong inside as she was on the outside. When Yanka has to flee her house looking for answers about where she is, there's a journey beyond magic. I love the way this just goes into fairy tales in their own, like, I think it's Russian fairy tales, I think. And oh my goodness, it's so good. It's got so many moral things. Yes, it's a YA book, but it's got or more middle grade, I think. But it's got so many morals. It tackles so many issues about our roots and how important our roots to me. Another book that's in the top 10 is about roots for my family. I think, to me, family and my roots are what's important. And I love the magic in this. I love Yanka. I love the way she learns who she really is, and it's important to be true to who you are. And this is brilliant. If you've not read a Sophie Anderson book, pick this up, and certainly pick up The House of Chicken Eggs as well, because they are both absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to see if what she writes next. Now, the next book is quite surprising that it's reached the top 10, purely because I read this first time last year. I started reading it last year and I DNF'd it because I didn't understand it, didn't get to it. But I reread it this time with Clint. Again, it's another Clint book. And it's in his top 10, and oh my goodness, this is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Now, Charlie lent me a copy. Like I said, that was the first time I read this, and then Julie from Hungry Bookworm, she gave me this copy. I reread this, and oh my goodness, I'm so excited. It is, it's also from the author of the Lunar Chronicles. I've got to get on with reading the Lunar Chronicles. I've already only read one of these books, but this is long before Alice fell down the rabbit hole and before roses were painted red, the Queen of Hearts was just a girl in love for the first time. Now, I actually read Alice in Wonderland after this, and I absolutely blooming hated the Alice in Wonderland. Whereas this, I love. The Queen of Hearts, you find out how she became the Queen of Hearts. And yes, it's not written by the same author, but the way it's done is magical. I love there's obviously, you've got sort of the Mad Hatter, you've got, I don't know if you've got the white hair, but you've got the Mad Hatter in this. And you find out when she sort of like starts off as very like, she's primmed and proper, she's the girl of she's the daughter of one of the marquesses in the Hearts area, in this area. And she basically she's into baking, which I love the baking side, I love my food. Reminds me of Charlie, in fact she loves her bake. No, Vicky's actually the baker in our family. But yeah. She loved that, and that reminds me of that, and the way she cooks and she wants love, and oh my goodness, this is just so good. Now, who was it that I read? Listen, Kirsche Rivner, she said that it wasn't her favourite book from Marissa Meyer, and I've also read Cinder, and that I love that probably just as much, but I really need to get some more Marissa Meyer books because this is amazing. I personally loved it. I think it was one of the best books. It's my favourite Marissa Meyer book I've read so far. I've only read this and Cinder, but yeah, definitely up there. This I love a lot more, and I thought it was a great book. Now, like I said, another books that to do with my roots matter to me. This is why this book had to make it in the top 10. This is Old Baggage by Lisa Evans. Again, another amazing author that I've spoken to on Twitter. She's really lovely, and this is about. In 1928, Matilda Simpkins is a woman with a thrilling past and an unshaven present. In her youth, she was a suffragette. Now in middle age, Mattie's looking for a new purpose. To me, there is the suffragette parts of it. There is a lot of facts that come out about suffragettes, which I found really interesting. Basically, my great-great-nan was a suffragette, and she did sort of writing and stuff with Emmeline Pankhurst. So to me, the fact that comes in my family, the fact that strong women come in my family, and the suffragette link. Now, I grew up knowing about the suffragettes. That was something my nan told me when I was quite young. And to me, the suffragettes, she always said to me that women had to fight for who we were, and that to me is why I still vote. That's why I do a lot of things. That's why I fight prejudice, and if I want to do something, I will tell them I'll do it. I'm the stubbornest mule going. But that's why I love suffragettes. Mattie Simpkins is a brilliant character, but to me there is her sort of companion slash servant slash whatever you want to call her, the person almost sort of underneath her, Florrie, to me was actually the stronger character, because she didn't shout out, she didn't sort of make the big deals, but she has her own battles, and the battles she does behind the scenes, to me, are, if not more important than Mattie. And their relationship is something that's so important. The fact that Mattie she sort of tries to get a new era of suffragettes, a new set of women. She tries to teach them to fight and everything. Mattie goes for one girl, and Florrie fights for the underdog almost. And that underdog was really strong in my opinion. And it really teaches me that you don't have to shout out loud to be heard. And your fights maybe sound small, but they're actually really, really important. And whatever battles we have to do them. This is really good about suffragettes. If you like that, if you like strong women, and if you like historical fiction, this is a really great book. So pick it up. I am raving about it. She has got another book, Crooked Heart. Didn't enjoy that quite as much as this. Only very narrow. It's still 5 stars, but this to me was even better. So I am definitely still looking out for more of Lisa Evans' work. And if she writes more about suffragettes, she's got me. I loved it. Now the next books. These are kind of, I put them as one book together purely because they're written by the same author and they are both absolutely incredible. But I can't decide which one I love more. Two about which is The True Story. This is about 1942. Leo Scott, I don't ask me to say these names, I know I'm used to names. Arrives in Auschwitz-Birkenau. He's given the job of tattooing the prisoners marked for survival, scratching numbers into his fellow victims' arms in indelible ink to create what would have been the most potent symbols of the Holocaust. This is actually non-fiction. This is Lael's real story. And I love this book. It got me crying more than ever. Now, I've just had a conversation with Simone, Simone and I, and she didn't like this as much because it does also talk a lot about his romance, because he meets this girl called Gita, and it talks about their romance. It doesn't talk about some of the other hard-hitting things that happened in Auschwitz, and I'm going to read a lot more books about that. That's something that's really important to me. I don't know why I like that area of historical fiction. It's not that I enjoy it, because you can't get enjoyment out of it, but I find it fascinating. There is some scenes in this to me that it's not just about that he's doing these things to these people and he hates hurting them, but you hear a bit more about what happens in the prison hospitals. There was that Goebbels, I think it was, I can't remember the name, that doctor in there that did the worst things to the prisoners, what he did to boys, women and children. I can't tell them on here because they're 2 trigger warnings, but it was horrible. And to me, that guy was almost as bad as Hitler, if not equal, because the things he did were torture. The things he did they're unforgivable. It's just, oh my God, it killed me. And you hear a bit about that in here. But to me, the reason why I think it got 5 stars, the reason why it probably is my favourite book, one of my absolute favourites, is that you had the romance, that you knew that they were going to make it. And that hope that could run through this book was really important. And that's why I really loved this book. But it was really good. And it's so hard-hitting and so trigger warnings. But yeah, it's one of the best books I think I've ever read, to be honest. And she recently brought out a book, and I don't buy hardback books very often, mainly because they're really expensive and they're hard to look after. But she brought out Silka's Journey this year. Had it on pre-order. Chris was lovely, got it for me. This is part fiction, part non-fiction, which is what kind of intriguing, kind of exciting. This is Silka's Journey. Now, Silka is a character in the Situation of Auschwitz. I can't hold it. I love it. I did love it. And she was basically the sort of made to be the lover slash sort of prostitute almost of one of the top guards. And when the sort of camps got freed, she kind of didn't get freed. She almost got accused of being a collaborator because she was with the prison guards, and everyone stuck labels on her, and she was fighting this. Now, some of her story is true in this, some of it isn't, because this poor lady Heather Morris never got to speak to this Silk. She never got to find her, but she found friends of her. She found out stuff because of Lael, and I found that really interesting. The stuff that happened in the Russian camps, the Russian prisons almost, it was like, they were literally like concentration camps, were horrible. And this is, although this is non-fiction, as in she makes up characters, these things that actually happened in here really did happen, and that's heartbreaking. And I think it was interesting to go on Silka's journey. It was really weird that oh my goodness, she went into Siberia, so it's the Siberian camps, and out inside the Arctic Circle. These actually happened. These actual camps are real, and then she gets tended to by Alexander. I think there is a bit of a love story in this, but to me it's more hard hitting. It's a lot more about the things that happen to the prisoners. It's a killer. And now if I don't carry on talking, then this video's going on long. But yes, so the reason why that one had to go up there and had to be linked with Tattoo About It because of that. But they are both incredible books. I think Simone, you're going to like Silka's journey a bit more because of some of the hard hitting stuff in it. It's not really about the romance at all. So Simone, I know you're going to love that. Now this is, I think, to me, this is going to go down as my third favourite book. I've none of the rest of them in order, but this is my third favourite book of the year. This is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I bloody love this. I don't have enough time to talk about it. It's that good. Oh my God. Charlie bought it for me because I'd heard about it on Chloe's channel. And Charlie bought it for me as a cheer up present one day. She came over one evening and she bought it for me to cheer me up from Sainsbury's. It's a retelling on Beauty and the Beast. And she knows Beauty and the Beast is my favourite fairy tale. Oh, and it's also one of my first fantasy books, this is. And it's bloody good. It's just my favourite YA fantasy book. I've never really tackled YA and never really tackled fantasy. But God, this is brilliant. It really is. Prince Rian is heir to Emberfall and is cursed. Forced to repeat his autumn of his 18th year over and over. He can only be freed if the girl truly falls in love with him. And then in Earth, whatever, in Harper's life has never been easy. She's learnt it's been tough enough to survive the streets of Washington, D.C. When she's sucked into Rian's world, nothing is as it seems. This is bloody good. This is absolutely fantastic. Can't talk about it enough. Pick it up. It's the best book ever. Now, the next one, like I said, I don't have with me. It's The Binding by Bridget Collins. I can't remember the author's name. It's The Binding. Everyone's heard about it. I loved it. It's literally up there. I say it's the second favourite, but it's kind of joint with the first. It's that blooming good. It's about binding it's historical fiction, which I love. It's got a bit of fantasy. So these books are binded up with people's worst memories, and they give them to the binder, and they bind it into the book. So they lose that memory, it gets taken away from them, and it's amazing. I can't scream about it enough. I know Charlie's giving it to me for Christmas. I wish I had it with me. It's one of the best books of the year. If you like historical fiction, if you like a bit of fantasy, if you like a bit of magic, oh my God, but it's hard hitting as well. It's a mixture of all the favourite things I love in the world, and I can't wait to have my own copy of it. It's that good. Tell everyone, pick it up. The Binding is the best book. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I've only got 2 minutes to tell you my absolute favourite book of the year. For those of you that know me, you know I've raved about this book. I'm pretty sure it was one of the first books I read this year. This Is Gonna Hurt by Adam Kay. This is the best book of the year for me. Adam Kay is another author. Like I said, I've spoken to so many of these authors. Please don't think I'm prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced, but this is amazing. I'm someone that has been in and out of hospital since I was 18. And this is about basically, it's a secret diaries of junior doctor, and it goes through so many. It's heartbreaking, but it's got funny bits in it. He mixes everything up. He mixes the heartbreaking stories with the funny ones, so you're not killing yourself when you're reading it. It's so real because he wrote this, and he's amazing. And oh God, I really love this book. Charlie lent it to me originally. I bought my own copy at a car boot sale because I had to have it. I'm going to reread this soon. I've got his other book, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, which I've just read. But this is the best book of the year. This is the best book of the year. There is no one else. God knows how, if anyone ever gets me another book that's better than this, it'd be a miracle. Pick it up. Anyway, guys, what was your favourite book of 2019? I would love to hear. Comment below. And thank you all for everything you've done for me. You're the best subscribers. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.